In Your House 3, retroactively named Triple Header, took place on the 24th of September 1995 in Saginaw, Michigan, and no, this isn't a re-upload. Anytime I put these videos together to cover pay-per-views I didn't originally cover in Reliving the War, I always get comments thinking I'm re-uploading old videos, but this event was never originally covered and I'm still determined to get through every pay-per-view. So today I'm taking on the first WWF pay-per-view of the Monday Night War. Tonight's show features a unique tag team match where 3 separate championships are up for grabs. The WWF title held by Diesel, the Intercontinental title held by Shawn Michaels, and the WWF tag team titles held by Yokozuna and Owen Hart. If the two dudes with attitude win, they become tag team champions. If either of these guys get pinned or submitted, they'll give up their respective belt to whoever beat them. So our main event does have some very high stakes. We'll also see Bret Hart trying to retrieve his leather jacket because it was stolen by a pirate. 1995 WWF really was something else. We kick off In Your House 3 with Waylon Mercy versus Savio Vega, and it's Mr. Mercy who's the main point of interest here. A lot's been said about Dan Spivey's character and how the Waylon Mercy gimmick was before its time. It's a psychological character based on Max Cady from Martin Scorsese's Cape Fear remake, and one of Mercy's main traits was his complete change of demeanour once the bell rung. Outside of matches, he came across as a friendly southerner who was maybe a bit peculiar, but in the ring he would break the rules, show little remorse and go a bit mental. For example, in this match he dances a little for Savio Vega, he shakes Savio's hand, and then he tries to attack Savio from behind. So this Waylon Mercy guy isn't to be trusted. I will put together a video in the future that covers Waylon's character in detail, but right now he's having a hard time as Savio performs a few unique wristlock takedowns. Waylon gets up, Savio hits the mat after a knee strike and a clothesline. We go outside where Vega takes a few chops and a body slam on the floor. And back in the ring, Waylon pulls off a hot shot that didn't look too hot. Waylon looks a bit unhinged as he chokes Savio on the top rope. Vega stays on the back foot as we get some breaking news from Doc P.S. Hendricks. And Doc lets us know that Owen Hart has not arrived at the arena yet. Owen's supposed to be competing in our main event, but right now that main event's up in the air. More on this in a moment. Waylon Mercy applies his signature sleeper hold and he gets very wide-eyed as he puts the pressure on. Savio manages to escape, Waylon locks it in again, but Savio avoids disaster again with a back suplex. Savio performs a big boot, a spinning back kick and a bulldog, but he's unable to keep his opponent down for a 3 count. Mercy gets back into it with a clothesline and a brainbuster. The brainbuster looked dangerous, which also made it look good, but Waylon couldn't get the job done unfortunately. Savio wins after performing a German suplex and a spinning wheel kick. As far as openers go, it was nothing special. I think Waylon Mercy had more going for him just because he had a much more interesting character, but turns out this would be his one and only WWF pay-per-view appearance. Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Cornette are having words. Cornette's trying to convince the WWF president that Owen Hart's en route to In Your House 3, but Gorilla's becoming increasingly concerned that Owen isn't going to show up. Hendricks wonders if tonight's triple header match is in jeopardy. Gorilla says it is not. One way or another, the main event is going to take place. Next up, we've got a pretty weird match. Sycho Sid, representing the dwindling $1 million corporation, takes on Henry Godwinn. This one came about because Sid got slopped on WWF Superstars, and just like the previous match, you're kinda rooting for the bad guy to win. Sycho Sid is infinitely cooler than Henry O. Godwinn. Keep in mind too that Sid faced WWF Champion Diesel at both In Your House 1 and 2. Now he's facing a pig farmer who threw a bucket of slop on him. Sid gets slammed face first on the mat before a right hand and a clothesline sends him out of the ring. A suplex brings the big man back into the ring, but when Henry goes for a body slam, he can't perform the move. This is because Sid powerbombed Henry on the floor a few days ago, and so Sid focuses on the injured back with a running knee strike. On the outside, DiBiase gets in a few cheap shots. Sid jumps off the apron with multiple double axe handles. And yeah, this match has been dog shit so far. We can all marvel at Sycho Sid, but this one's already going down the toilet. We get some slow offense in the ring as Sid zones in on Henry's back. Sid does speed it up with a few running attacks, but we're talking about running kicks to the midsection here, folks. We get a camel clutch, we get some double axe handles, another camel clutch, a big club and blow to the back. Yeah, I'm checked out of this one already. Sid misses a corner flying karate kick. He misses, you guessed it, a double axe handle. Henry has it won after a jumping shoulder block followed by the slop drop, but DiBiase breaks it up and now Henry's mad. Oh, I'm so scared. Sid stops Henry from attacking the $1 Million Man, and when DiBiase gets the opportunity, he trips Henry up from the outside. This leads to the Hog Farmer taking a leg drop to the back of the neck, and Sid ends up winning it after a powerbomb. To give credit, it always looked good when Sid powerbomb big dudes. Sid and Ted aren't done yet. They want to slop the fallen Henry Godwinn. Bam Bam Bigelow runs down for the save, and this leads to Kama Mustafa showing up to help his $1 Million Corporation teammates. It looks like Bam Bam's going to get the bucket of stinky shit dumped on his head, but Henry takes the slop away, and it's DiBiase who gets dirty. The powerbomb was good. Ted's reaction to getting slopped was ever so slightly entertaining, but everything else, not worth your time. Not at all. Jim Cornette and Gorilla Monsoon are still having words backstage. Cornette wants to know how this main event's going to go ahead if Owen doesn't show up, and Gorilla gives Cornette two options. Yokozuna can defend the tag belts all on his own, or Cornette can find a replacement. Gorilla says he'll sanction a replacement and name that replacement a tag team champion so long as Jim can find someone willing to take on HBK and Diesel, and so Jim runs off to find Yokozuna's new partner. Back in the ring, we've got Davey Boy Smith versus Bam Bam Bigelow, a match that does have potential as long as both men stay motivated. As both men go to work, we see Jim Cornette trying to recruit Sycho Sid for the main event. We've got a hip toss from Bigelow followed with a press slam. Bigelow misses an elbow drop though. And the first bit of offense we get from the Bulldog is a good old fashioned Davey Boy Smith chin lock. We're so back, ladies and gents. Gonna be honest, this is why I cover old events from the Monday Night War. I don't care about completing the timeline, I just want to see chin locks. Bigelow misses a headbutt. Davey sinks his own head into Bigelow before the big man takes a suplex. Davey Boy celebrates a bit too much, and so Bam Bam runs the Bulldog down a few times before falling out of the ring from a low bridge. Davey tries to suplex his opponent back into the ring. He instead gets his wee Bulldog smashed on the top rope. Bigelow keeps the pressure on with a diving headbutt, but Davey zones in on the left leg, and this is going to be Davey's focus for the next few minutes. Very standard stuff here, leg locks, chop blocks, that kind of stuff. Davey goes for a leg trip, but Bigelow counters with an enziguri, and while Davey's bump does look spectacular, it does seem a tad unnecessary. Even more so when Bulldog just shakes it off and he goes right back to Bigelow's leg. The Bulldog applies a single leg crab. This focused attack on Bigelow's left leg means we are being deprived of chin locks. I don't like it. Bigelow tries to fight back with a headbutt, but Davey replies with a kitchen sink. And there we go, back to business. Chin lock number 2. There goes my hero. Bam Bam gets out, Davey takes a few shots in the corner, Bulldog tries to end it with his running power slam but he can't lift Bigelow up, and the big man falls right on top of Davey. Bulldog's sunset flip attempt moments later also fails, but Bigelow's having no luck either when he goes for his rounding moonsault. So Davey goes upstairs and he performs a diving knee drop, I think, I'm not sure. But our match ends with Bigelow getting thrown into the corner and Davey performs a power slam on the rebound. Davey Boy wins, and yeah, so far it was the most competent and competitive match, but again, it wasn't great or anything. This crowd hasn't cared for any match that's been presented so far, and the show's been a drag since the opener, but hopefully the second half picks up a little. Bob Backlund's here at In Your House. He says all the people that came into the arena tonight have acute limitations and everyone has to face challenges to succeed in life. You know, learning to walk, learning your ABCs. These fans at In Your House didn't succeed in life and therefore their acute limitations became chronic limitations. Someone who doesn't have these kind of limitations though is Dean Douglas, a man from the University of Knowledge. And Dean's going to face Razor Ramon in our next match, a match that manifested due to Dean and Razor having a little scuffle after Ramon's ladder match at SummerSlam this year. Dean says he's here tonight to teach Razor Ramon a very harsh lesson. This is a test Razor's going to fail if he didn't do his homework. And Dean introduces Razor to the ring as the man who's going to lose our next match. Ramon ditches his cool demeanour in favour of getting in the ring and beating the crap out of Douglas as quick as possible. Dean takes a few shots and he gets clotheslined out of the ring, so it looks like Razor did indeed do his homework tonight. The match resumes with Ramon performing 3 consecutive headlock takeovers. Douglas backs off into the corner, and when the two resume, Dean ends up getting sent to the outside once again. As Dean tries to regroup, we see Cornette trying to recruit King Mabel as Yokozuna's tag team partner, and what a tag team that would be, eh? In the ring, we've got Razor and Douglas trading wrist locks and hammer locks. Kinda weird that the match started with a lot of fire, but now we're going into basic wrestling holds. Dean falls on his ass when getting out of a hammerlock, and seconds later he jumps straight into Razor's arms and the crowd pop for Ramon's fallaway slam. Finally, the crowd seem to be somewhat invested in a match tonight. Dean retreats to the apron, Ramon snaps his arm over the top rope, Razor's going to focus on the left arm and shoulder as the two get back in the ring, and Ramon's going to belittle his opponent by slapping him around a bit. I mentioned this before, but these two legitimately didn't like one another and their history's been well documented. They seem to be working together just fine right here though, but there was animosity between the two. After a few failed pin attempts and a hard clothesline from the bad guy, Razor goes right back to working the arm. Bob Backlund keeps an eye on the action as Dean begins fighting back, and Backlund provides a distraction that allows Dean to jump over the top rope and deliver a double axe handle. Dean utilizes the ring steps when performing a running knee strike, and he uses the ring post when focusing on Razor's lower back. When the two get in the ring, Dean performs another double axe handle, and I'm starting to think this event should have been called WWF Double Axe Handle because that's all we've fucking seen tonight. More shots to the lower back get followed with Ramon getting stretched out on the mat. Dean sinks his knee into Razor's back, and when Razor counters, Dean makes it to the ropes. Fans are eager to see Razor make his comeback, but he gets thrown into the corner before Dean pulls off a middle rope splash, and that lower back's now causing the bad guy some serious problems. Camel clutch, ladies and gents. The second camel clutch of the night, seeing as Sycho said was also focusing on Henry Godwinn's lower back. Ramon gets out with an electric chair drop, and after having a rest, the two get up and Ramon delivers a few punches. He then holds on to Dean's hands when performing a Northern Light suplex, and Dean gets set up on the top rope while Razor looks for a back suplex. This gets countered and Dean performs a crossbody, but Razor rolls through and he gets a 2 count. The referee takes a bump, and this is where our match ends, folks, because when Ramon performs the Razor's Edge, there's no referee to count the pinfall. So the 1-2-3 kid runs down to count the 1-2-3, and Razor thought he actually won the match until he noticed it wasn't the WWF official who made the count. Razor gets angry at his friend for showing up, he shoves him out of the ring. This allows Dean to roll Razor up, and Dean Douglas defeats Razor Ramon at In Your House 3. Razor can't believe that his friend actually cost him this match, and he has no idea why Kid showed up. He gets angry, he brings Kid into the ring for an explanation, and things get heated between the two buddies. They slap each other around a bit before officials come down to break it up, so all's not well within the clique. Not a great night for Razor Ramon, and for Scott Hall fans who want to see Razor Ramon at his best, this is not the match you want to check out. You don't get the cool entrance, you don't get Ramon's usual smooth and calculated offense. What you do see is Ramon losing a match with a pretty silly outcome, so yeah, another one to avoid, ladies and gents. Man, we have only 2 matches left and we need some improvement ASAP. Doc Hendrix is shilling some Shawn Michaels merchandise. He gets joined by HBK himself along with Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Shawn says he's a bit frustrated seeing as Camp Cornette wanted the IC and WWF titles on the line for the main event, and now it seems the original match lineup's in jeopardy. Big Diesel says he smells a rat, but it really doesn't matter. At the end of the night, the 2 dudes with attitudes are going to be the 2 chops with 4 strops. Very good. A month before this event took place, the WWF's resident pirate Jean-Pierre Lafitte stole Bret Hart's leather jacket, and Bret's on a mission to get it back. Yeah, this match is all about a leather jacket, ladies and gents, and Bret admits it's only a jacket, but the Hitman's jacket means a lot to him. And on top of that, this pirate asshole's been stealing Hitman shades from young kids sitting in the front row, so it's time to get revenge. Bret says this is just like Captain Hook versus Captain Crunch, and the Hitman is Captain Crunch. Maybe the most stupid thing Bret's ever said in his entire career. And he also says Lafitte's gonna walk the plank in our next matchup. My god. So here we go, Jean-Pierre Lafitte versus Bret Hart. Silly match premise aside, this one has potential. Bret looks all naked without his leather jacket, and he begins the match right away with a dive through the middle ropes. The pirate gets beaten up around the ringside area, and Bret takes the jacket off of Lafitte. But that's not enough, it's time to teach Jean-Pierre a lesson. The Hitman delivers a few strikes in the ring, but an eye poke puts Pierre in the driver's seat. A few shots in the corner follows as Bret stays on the back foot, but Captain Crunch dodges a corner charge and Bret performs a takedown. Fans aren't really cheering for the action, I don't think. It's more like they're just cheering at Bret's mere presence. The Hitman performs a crucifix pin, but it only gets a 2. He attempts a hip toss, but he gets whacked with a swashbuckling clothesline. Pachi the Pirate spends time choking Bret out, and Hitman takes a few kicks to the midsection while on the mat. Hart struggles to rebuild momentum as he telegraphs a backdrop. More corner strikes from Jean-Pierre Lafitte follows, and Bret replies by throwing his shoulder into the ring post. Old Captain Lafitte liked this so much that he introduces Bret to the ring post one more time. Hart takes his signature sternum first corner bump that always looked and sounded great. Starting to think a leather jacket really isn't worth all this trouble, and I start to believe it even more when Bret gets thrown into the ring steps. Inside the ring, Bret tries to gain some momentum, but he gets stopped with a spinebuster that could have looked better, honestly. But our mid-card Buccaneer locks in Davy Jones' chinlocker, and this totally made up for it. Back elbow, leg drop, and chinlock number 2 from Lafitte as the Pirate gives Bulldog a run for his money. Bret continues to give his opponent a lot tonight when he takes a clothesline, a sidewalk slam, and a nice top rope leg drop from Lafitte. The Hitman's in trouble as Jean-Pierre signals for Le Cannonball, but Bret dodges it and he gets a chance to lock in the sharpshooter. Jean-Pierre avoids it by pushing Bret out of the ring, though the Hitman stays in control on the outside when the Pirate misses another senton attempt. Inside the ring, Bret tries to go through his usual routine with a Russian leg sweep and a backbreaker, though he misses his middle rope elbow drop. Pierre tries a fireman's carry roll, and yeah, I thought Bret countered this with a DDT, but it's Bret selling after the move. Loads of back and forth follows, with Pierre taking a dropkick and Bret taking his corner bump once again. And even though Bret gets all tied up in the ring ropes when going for a crossbody, he still manages to dodge Lafitte's follow-up top rope splash. Our match ends with an emphasis on how even this match has been overall. The two clash into each other and they end up staying on the mat, but it's Bret who's able to slowly apply a sharpshooter from the grounded position. Jean-Pierre Lafitte does indeed walk the plank when he gives up the Bret Hart's finishing move. Bret wins the match, he gets his leather jacket back, thank God for that. And what's notable here is how much offense Bret allowed Jean-Pierre Lafitte to get in. Someone with no prior wrestling knowledge at all would watch this bout and easily see Lafitte is Bret's equal. And that's just one of many reasons why Bret Hart was so good. Especially when you remember that this is an era of pro wrestling when top guys were very protective of their spots and positioning on the cards. There were some rough moments for sure, it's not a classic, but it was easily the best match of the night so far by a mile. Jim Cornette's made his choice. The British Bulldog's going to team up with Yokozuna tonight, so not a big surprise by any stretch of the imagination. Monsoon confirms that Davey is now, for one night only, one half of the WWF Tag Team Champions. And yes, he can win the WWF or IC title in our next match. Before we look at our main event, Alundra Blaze shows up to model a truly hideous In Your House t-shirt. Not a bit of wonder she jumped back to WCW shortly afterwards. And the Tag Team Champions then make their entrances as fans get used to the fact that the main event for this show has been changed. It kinda sucks too because we've already seen Davey in action. HBK comes out followed by Diesel. It can't be overstated how over these guys are right here, and Diesel being in his home state sure does help a lot too. The two dudes with attitudes are the clear fan favourites tonight, and we get underway with HBK and Bulldog. These two always work well together, and within the first few moments we're already seeing more out of the Bulldog than what we did in the Bigelow match. Davey takes a back body drop, he gets clotheslined out of the ring. Yokozuna tries to blindside Shawn, but Yoko's a big boy and that would be impossible. And so Big Daddy Cool gets in the ring and the WWF champ sends Yoko out of the ring. The heels regroup as the fans cheer on the babyfaces. Davey decides he's going to let Yokozuna take over and Shawn Michaels isn't worried at all. As a matter of fact, HBK mocks his opponent by stomping on the mat and driving evil spirits away from the ring. The Heartbreak Kid squats down, as does the big man. The two then run at each other, but Shawn whoosies out by sliding under Yoko's legs. Joke's on you, pal, because Shawn then runs right into a back elbow. And does Yokozuna immediately follow up? No, Yoko's going to take his sweet time before going back on offense, and while he does eventually deliver a body slam, he ends up missing an elbow drop. This allows Diesel to tag in and Yoko has no choice but to pick the pace up. Absolutely crazy to say Kevin Nash forced someone to work faster, but this is exactly what happens. Yokozuna performs a clothesline, Nash fires back with a jumping clothesline, and a big boot from Big Daddy Cool sends Yoko back to the outside. In comes Davey Boy Smith. These two would end up having a stinker at the next In Your House, and speaking of stinkers, check out Davey's first attempt at a vertical suplex. I mean, fair play for trying such a move on Big Daddy Cool, and he does manage to actually deliver the move on the second attempt, but I'm sure Vince McMahon was seething at the commentary table. Davey Boy Smith chinlock because there's absolutely no way Jean-Pierre Lafitte was going to get one over on the Bulldog. Diesel dodges a running power slam, the British Bulldog takes a few corner clotheslines, and when HBK tags in, he stands on Diesel's shoulders for a big splash. Davey won't stand for this. He drops Shawn on the top rope and HBK's little degenerate gets absolutely destroyed. This makes Shawn easy pickings for Big Yokozuna, who comes back into the match, and Shawn takes a hard corner bump that leads to him going to the outside and taking a body slam on the floor. Another quick tag sees Davey come back in and Shawn hits the ceiling with a big back body drop. Davey then applies the second chinlock of this match, the fourth chinlock he's performed tonight, and the sixth chinlock of this whole pay-per-view. Yokozuna's getting a bit jealous, so he comes in and HBK finds himself taking a deadly nerve pinch. My god, the WWF in 1995 was action-packed, wasn't it? It feels like HBK's busting the show off, but this match isn't giving him any opportunities to do so. Davey becomes the Japanese Bulldog for a moment as Shawn tries to fight out. Diesel really needs to tag in, but Yokozuna wants to end HBK with a bonsai drop. Shawn avoids it, the crowd goes nuts, they get antsy for the upcoming hot tag, and yep, in comes the WWF Champion, and in comes Davey Boy Smith. The Bulldog takes a back body drop, snake eyes, and the dreaded leapfrog teabag. Diesel keeps the pressure on with a sidewalk slam and Yoko takes a shot for good measure too. In comes HBK and the heels get Irish whipped into each other, and Yoko gets put in the corner while Bulldog gets launched into him. A great spot here that also sees Yoko falling on top of his tag team partner. Diesel goes for the jackknife, Cornette gets on the apron and Yoko stops the powerbomb attempt. Yoko performs a Samoan drop on Diesel, Shawn Michaels performs sweet chin music on Yokozuna, Davey delivers the running power slam on Big Daddy Cool, but Shawn breaks the cover with a diving elbow drop. Our match ends with Owen Hart finally showing up. The King of Hearts gets on the top rope, he goes for an indescribable top rope move, but he gets punched in the gut by Diesel. The WWF champ then plants Owen with a jackknife powerbomb, and Diesel pins Owen to win the tag team championships. Now, there's questions here. Gorilla Monsoon said that Davey was one half of the tag team champions and not Owen. Diesel pinned a guy who was not officially in the match and not a champion. So we'll need answers. If you want to see what happens next, check out, my god, episode 3 of Reliving the War. Jesus Christ. Anyway, the fans are happy with the outcome. Diesel and Shawn celebrate in the ring. The main event wasn't great and it didn't showcase any of these guys at their best, so nah, I don't rate this one at all. You know, it's funny, years ago you'd pick this up on VHS and try to convince yourself you're watching a somewhat decent show. Maybe nowadays we have better standards, maybe it's getting older and becoming more jaded, maybe it's having higher expectations as time goes on, or maybe, just maybe, the event was always totally shit. Whatever the case, In Your House 3 isn't good and there's nothing here I'd go back and watch again. Bret Hart vs Jean-Pierre Lafitte wasn't atrocious and it could serve as a good case study regarding guys that are super over trying to elevate those beneath them even when the more popular guy's still gonna win. But that would be an oddly specific case study reserved for only the dorkiest of wrestling fans. So you can throw In Your House 3 in the bin with so many other WWF pay-per-views of 1995, it's not worth your effort. This show serves as a snapshot of the WWF as the Monday Night War was just getting underway, and my god did this company have their work cut out for them. But I'm glad to get another Reliving the War pay-per-view out of the way, more to follow soon. Thank you so much for watching, and please take care.